Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Today is part 2 of my political questions, where I ask my spirit guides your political questions. And you're going to want to tune in today because, well, frankly, you're going to find out how Boris Epstein may be the linchpin. He may be the literal linchpin in holding everything together for these cases coming for Donald Trump and his cronies. You also are going to learn how, well, Liz Cheney is at it again. And shockingly, I had to see, because you know I'm clairvoyant, I had to see Marjorie Taylor Greene giving her bikini underwear to McCarthy. Not because of some, truly, it's not because of some love thing. It's not that. Don't think that. It's worse. It's worse, you guys. What I saw was that she makes him wear her underwear as a form of control. Now, of course, this is for entertainment purposes only. And, you know, I'm just a psychic making up crazy stuff, but I saw what I saw, and I had to take a break and rinse my eyes out with bleach. So you have been forewarned. If you continue watching this video, you're going to learn that and more. Check it out. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this content, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. If you hit the little bell, you'll even get notified when I have a video that comes out. Thanks so much. I'll see you on the other side. Well, not that other side. No, not yet. No, don't worry. We're not going anywhere yet. I'll see you on the other side of the video. That's what I meant to say. Okay, here we go. Kelly Paul says, will Chief Justice Roberts accept Dick Durbin's invitation to testify before the Congress? And will the Supreme Court be made to follow ethical standards such as government employees must do? If so, when? So I answered the second part of your question. I do see much more stringent rules, and these stringent rules have teeth that the Supreme Court will have to follow. And I do think that that is going to happen as soon as next year. So that's much sooner than one would think. And maybe in some respects, not soon enough. I understand where you're coming from. As far as your first question, the first half of your question, Justice Roberts accept Dick Durbin's invitation to testify before Congress? The first answer is no. Justice Roberts is sticking his head in the sand. He's really like an ostrich. He's not at all a leader. He is not leading anybody. The Supreme Court justices are basically like a bunch of feral, you know, crazy animals that are running around all different directions and biting each other. It's ridiculous. But I do see eventually, yes, I do see Justice Thomas, that's interesting. That was interesting. So I guess what they're saying to me is I see Justice Thomas before a congressional inquiry. Didn't see that coming, but that's what they just said. But I also see Justice Roberts before a congressional inquiry. You could see, and you heard what I said earlier, you know, that I do see several justices being called to the carpet and really having to pay for their transgressions. Okay. Thank you for your question, Kelly Paul. Soulshine says, will the Democratic Party, the Democratic politicians, and civilian supporters unite to support President Biden in his re-election campaign? I do believe so, because by next year, Ukraine will have come out of its dark days. We will have come out of our dark days. A lot of the CHIP Act, a lot of that money that is going right now into building these big, huge factories that Biden basically created out of thin air, is going to be happening in the heartland, right? In these places where a lot of these, you know, what they are they're Democrats that turned Republican, to be honest with you. A lot of Democrats kind of went to the dark side, and that was around anti-union. They really, you know, they really kind of left the unions and went to the dark side because they thought they had to, I think. And also, oh, right, because they're white men. And the Republican Party's done a really good job of talking to white men and saying, hey, you're being replaced. You're being replaced by this person. You're not powerful anymore. I mean, they've really just done this whole, craziness to their brain. And now they've gone to Republican. But now these men are starting to see that they've been hoodwinked, and they're going to quietly go back over to the Democrats because they don't want to look like fools. They're not going to announce it. But when they go into that voting booth, they're going to start voting D again. They're also showing me the Republicans are starting to announce their wishes platform. I don't know what you would call it for this whole showdown with the debt ceiling. And one of those things is they actually came out on paper and said they want to reduce a lot of veterans' benefits. That's not going to play well in the heartland. So the Democrats actually have things to message on if they just get off their butts and get some younger people as interns and start messaging for them. You're going to see a really nice turnout for Biden. And you're going to see a lot of people go into the booth that maybe they even hold their nose and vote for Biden, or maybe they just pray and wish that this is the right thing to do, but they're going to do it. So I do see Biden having a lot of support, not only among Democrats, but also among the Republicans. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. I did mention the debt ceiling briefly. I don't think that question is here, but I do think that we're going to get to the 11th hour. I don't think the Democrats are going to blink. I don't see them capitulating to some crazy deal from McCarthy or MTG, who's really the Speaker of the House and not McCarthy. Basically, this is crazy. Why they show me these pictures? Why? I swear to you guys, for entertainment purposes only, I just saw MTG give her bikini underwear to McCarthy, and he has to wear them. I'm just not kidding. This is not a metaphor. I'm telling you guys. She says, "Oh, today you're going to wear these nice blue striped ones," and he has to wear them. I don't know if it's kink. I don't know if it's ownership. I don't know what is happening here, folks. I don't know, but that's what I just saw. Now I can't get out of my brain. Okay, I got to have some kind of cleansing thing happen. Thank you for your question, Soul Shine, but I'm so sorry about that last part. I can just see it. I can see it. Okay. Life is a mindset. Lorraine says, do the guides see Gen Z being able to vote? Basically, yes, the Republicans have really taken some pretty drastic measures to reduce Gen Z voting. They have removed a lot of the polling places on the campus. I can see even next year them trying to stop Gen Zers from registering on campus. I can see all that, right? I can see that, but it doesn't work. Do they not think these kids can't register? I mean, Gen Z is going to outmaneuver these old people. They're going to outmaneuver them. They're going to be over there on some freaking, whatever they use these days, Telegram or some kind of chat service. They're going to be over there having their whole own conversation about where they're meeting at some pub or some pizza place that's inside, that the Republicans are never going to even know is happening because they're not tuned in, because they don't really care. So I don't see that being a problem. Number one. Number two, again, look at the Justins. These kids are mad, and they're going to take to that campus. They're going to go to the streets. They're going to be protesting, I believe, starting midsummer all the way through. So no, I don't see this being a problem. I think everything the Republicans do to quiet Gen Z will only make Gen Z louder and even more effective. So bring it on, people, bring it on. Kelly Paul says Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton is now facing calls to resign due to multiple scandals, like not living in his district and having an affair. What will happen with his political career? And I also want to say that they have a recording. And this is what I'm talking about with the light. This is an example of what I'm talking about with the light. When you guys don't see things happening to MTG or Bobert or Matt Gaetz or whoever, I want you to keep looking, because the light is working. It's just those people, it's going to take a lot longer for the light to melt that big old chunk of ice, right? It's melting the smaller chunks of ice first. This guy, Cameron Sexton, is a smaller chunk of ice, and his butt's getting melted. He also was recorded. One of his own people recorded him talking about how berating. One of those people were in a private, quote unquote, inner meeting of these Republicans, were berating each other for one of them voting for the one white woman. They were like, we wanted all three of them to be expelled. That way it wasn't going to be racist. But one of y'all voted to keep her, and now it is racist. So there's all this on tape. Plus finding out about his house, plus finding out about his affair. He's toast. You know what they told me? He's toast. But you know what they told me? They said he may get a job as a like a county tax assessor. You know, he might win some vote for some county position, because it's much like the cops. The cop, frankly, they're reminding me of the cop that shot Breonna Taylor in Louisville. Just got a job as a cop in a different county. This is what happens. These cockroaches, if we allow them to continue, they just continue going and criming. So I think he will get a job as like a county tax assessor or something like that. But it's not the same. This man, Cameron Sexton, lost Speaker of the House. He lost respect. He lost power. He lost money. And this is really sort of like what they're showing me is, this is sort of the light taking a baseball bat and smacking a wasp nest. Right? I mean, these people are going to get angry, and they're going to get crazy, and they're going to get in our face, and they're going to try to be big and bad, but they're not going to win. They're just not going to win. The light will continue to follow these people. They will continue to follow this officer, continue to follow anybody who does not match the qualities of the light. If you're doing something that is wrong and the light shines on you, just because you scurry into the darkness doesn't mean the light's not going to follow you. This is where we're going for the next several years. So these people are not going to be able to just get away with these things. This is what I see. Okay. And, you know, you have it over and over again with the Justins and with Thomas and Harlan Crow. That information has been public. This information has been published years and years ago about Thomas getting these vacations. But now it's getting traction, because now is the time in our timeline where the light is shining and where that information will be made available. And also the light is sort of taking no prisoners. It's like, you either got to be with me or else you're going to pay the price. Okay. Thank you for your question. Debbie Kane says, will Fannie Willis be the first to get a gag order on 45? I don't see a gag order on 45. I'm sorry to say that, but I don't see that. What I see is the gag order being the light, being him afraid to speak, being him afraid to disclose his location. Right? So there is a gag order, but it's not an official gag order. Now, you might see threats of a gag order. You might see threats. I can see judges saying, say one more thing, right? Just say one more thing. But I don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that changes, the energy changes around that. Because now that I'm saying that, I can see one out of 500 potentials where he does have a gag order, but I think he might flaunt it. I don't know. I do see him being belittled and hiding. But I don't know that that's due to a court order. I think that's more due to some other circumstance, some other energy. But either way, it works for you because you said that his voice grates you and gets on your nerves. So that should help. Thank you so much for your question. Kimmy G says, will the Smartmatic case against Fox News actually go to trial, or will they settle? I'm hearing right now that it's going to go to trial. Smartmatic is not Dominion. Their energy feels spunkier, spikier, more of a street fighter, not a boxing match where you wear headgear and a mouthpiece. It's more like AMA. It's more like a street fighter kind of energy, take no prisoners kind of energy. So I do see it going to trial. Now, there's about a 20%, maybe right now, the way they feel when I go into Smartmatic, they're like, we're never, ever going to settle. That energy changes, that energy can change. So I do think there's like a 10% chance that they will settle. But if they do, they're going to exact a price out of Fox that is going to be devastating, is the word they just used. So they will get that recanting. They will get that admission of lying. You're just seeing a big takedown of Fox News. It's not only Smartmatic, it's coming from other places. I saw Fox News being investigated by the DOJ. I don't know why. Apparently there's some, is it Fox News or is it Tucker? I saw Tucker Carlson. First of all, I see Fox News being broken into different entities so that they can spread themselves out further and survive. Okay. Number one. Number two, I see Tucker Carlson leaving Fox News, but I do see him being very popular on online programs, much like InfoWars guy. But I just saw this weird thing that I hadn't seen before, where it's not YouTube. It's sort of like this. It's sort of like Truth Social or Parler or Telegram, but it's a streaming service. So I guess there's a new streaming service that's going to come on, that's going to try to rival YouTube, and they're going to be much more lenient in what they allow to be on there. And I honestly am not sure that YouTube is going to mind, because YouTube, I think, would rather have bakers and knitters and gardeners, you know what I mean? And travel logs, rather than have to even deal with this whole dark side of some of these videos. So that's very interesting. I had never seen that before. Thank you for your question, Kimmy J. And Karen Ambrose says, what is the future of Stacey Abrams? The future of Stacey Abrams is bright. She is taking a break, a much needed break. She really worked herself, to the bone. She kind of put it all on the line. Okay. She exhausted herself. Let's just put it that way. But she's also doing what Stacey Abrams does. Stacey Abrams is a strategist. She's really a strategist at heart. So right now she is working behind the scenes, doing some sort of strategy. And it's not just for her state. It's for the Dems. It's for 2024. And it's not with the DNC. She's not doing this with the DNC because they're dinosaurs and they don't know what's up, but she does know what up. She's creating, I don't know. It's like a master plan. Now, I'm not saying that she won't share this with the DNC or whatever, because she's a team player and she's on our team, but she very much is the kind of person that needs to get it done. You ever been in a group where nobody else wants to do it, but you're like, just get out of the way, go sit down, whatever, I'm going to do it. That's her. She's like, if y'all aren't going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it right. And then I'm happy to give it to you. She doesn't care about that part. She just wants it done. So she's doing some pretty big strategizing right now. She's also sort of working a little bit with, I don't know why that just popped up in my mind. Two people popped up into my mind. Tish James and Fonnie Willis just popped up into my mind with Stacey Abrams. I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing. But that's what I saw. So she's busy. And thank God that she's on our side, because we need her on our side. And she's not done. She's not done. She's just gearing up for round 59. I don't know how many rounds she's been through with these people, but she's going to be fresh, and I see her taking a good vacation. She's going to be refreshed and re-energized for next year. So hallelujah for that. Kelly Paul says, will Boris Epstein flip on Trump? And if so, what revelations will this uncover? Boris is state's witness, is what they just said. He has turned state's witness. Again, I know I've said her name a whole bunch. I don't know why, but MTG is who comes to mind. The Congress people, the Republican Congress people who were involved or who were allegedly involved in Jan 6 come to mind when I go into Boris Epstein's energy. He knows it all, y'all. He knows stuff. He knows things about Florida. He knows things about some of those, that group, right? That Jim Jordan, that whole group. There could be a whole book written about him. There could be a movie made about him, like even like a Netflix or some sort of TV movie that he was sort of the linchpin or an important part in making all this make sense, so that the DOJ and whoever it is that's investigating these things were able to really make a case. So that's a really interesting. I would suggest that you guys watch his space, because he has the goods, you guys. He has got the goods. Okay, Ron Brock says, with the now announced Ukraine counteroffensive, be quickly kick the Russians out of their country, and will they take it all back, including Crimea? Yes, absolutely. I just did a video on Ukraine yesterday. Yeah, this counter, you know what, I want to add to this, because this is something they told me this morning. The Ukrainians are so ready. They're so militarily ready that they could, this is what the guides are telling me, they could make an incursion into Russia. And honestly, that incursion could be so strong that they somehow get to close to Moscow. I'm not kidding. This is what they told me. Honestly, it's scaring our defense. It's scaring their allies, because we don't want them. We don't want them to go put a flag on Moscow. We don't want that. That could cause a lot of problems, right? I mean, it could cause problems with Turkey. It could cause problems with Lukashenko. It could cause problems with North Korea. It could cause problems with a whole lot of people that could then say, okay, this is war, and come to Russia's aid. We don't want that, right? So really and truly, the United States has been holding Ukraine back, so that they don't get so powerful that they just go straight into Russia. That's crazy, right? But that's exactly what they're telling me. And I'm going to be honest and say that I think it'll happen. I'm not sure they'll get to Moscow, but I think it'll happen. And I think that the United States will kind of be like, they'll just be looking over here like, we don't know what's happening. Oh, did that happen? Did you guys go into Russia? Oh, we didn't know. How did you do that? So because it's a thin tiny little needle that we're trying to thread here to keep tensions down and to allow Ukraine to be, to have that agency to get their land back. Now, I did say yesterday that, most of the world and NATO has announced that they want Ukraine to join. NATO has said, we welcome Ukraine joining. So obviously some big things have changed energetically throughout the world. So you may see something where Ukraine is able to make a big incursion into Russia, even if it's temporary. And you may see Turkey also do that. We didn't see anything. Or China, no, we didn't see anything. Wow, look at those cherry blossoms. You know what I mean? You might see that. You might see that people are like, yeah, do what you got to do, Ukraine. We're going to pretend that we didn't see it. So if that happens, then it's really game over. I mean, if that happens, it's a big, big deal. The biggest deal of the biggest deal of the biggest deal. I do see them taking Crimea back, regardless of what happens. I do see Crimea coming back. I see all the annexed areas of Ukraine coming back. The guide said that at the very beginning of this war. I did 3 videos on Ukraine. It's all laid out. Everything that the guide said has come true, except for the timing of it. I do see Crimea. I do see Ukraine being rebuilt. I do see Ukraine being a phoenix rising out of the ashes. I do see them having the money to be rebuilt. I do see Ukraine being a beautiful country full of modern glass buildings and tourism, and also, more important than that, a real jewel of Europe. This becoming this sort of financial hub of Europe. I don't know how, I don't know why, but that's what I've always seen. Thank you for your question, Ron. Let's see here. Current read on Matt Gaetz. Will he ever face accountability? He will. I do see him being indicted. I do see that. I do see him being indicted. He is allegedly going to be indicted for entertainment purposes only. We're talking allegedly money, improper use of money, also some connections to that first thing that the Florida DA declined to investigate, where his buddy got rung up on those on the sex trafficking. Yeah, that energy is still there. It's not gone away. He's not gonna get away. It's the light will also catch up with him as well. Let's see. Maggie G says that she lives in a red hat area, though she's never registered with a political party, because she believes that the party system encourages people to vote for parties rather than policies. But now she feels that it is time to declare herself a Democrat, openly, out and proud, and be proud about her liberal beliefs. Will we see an upswing in secret liberals coming out of the closet, so to speak, before the 2024 election? I really do see that. I see, and I guess this goes back, they're saying, it goes back to that question that somebody asked about, will the Democrats support Biden? Biden's not everybody's cup of tea, right? Some of us are further left of Biden. You got the Bernie people, you've got people that are further left of Biden. And I think that what this whole thing has shown us, and also further right of Biden, right? I mean, the Democrats have a big tent. But I think what this has shown us is that there's a lot to lose. We have a lot to lose, and we have to come together. We cannot, at our own peril, the guides are saying, at our own peril, do we nitpick each other and let ourselves be separated, right? Again, it goes into that no labels kind of party that is trying to divide the Democrats. What I think it will do is end up dividing the Republicans, honestly. So Iris Sexomom wants to know, how will the situation for trans rights and liberation continue to evolve, even in blue states and in red states, in the next 5 years? As a member of the LGBT community, I'm concerned with the energies that seem to be happening. We're going to continue to see some pushback against that community. I wish I could say something different. And I'm speaking about the trans community, but that then is going to spill over into the LGBTQ plus community. We're going to see some pushback on that, and it's going to continue for another 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years, Now, when I say pushback, I don't mean that you're gonna, or the trans community is gonna lose its rights, because I feel like there's equal support as there is pushback, right? We're going to stay a Democratic presidency. So I do see that for every pushback, there's pushback. So that's great, but it also means strife, right? It also means that there's a struggle within the energy for the next year and a half to 2 years. After that, I see everything calming down, and I see more protections. I mean, there will be protections this year, next year, but there will also be counterbalance, counter protest, or counter energy to that. So, but I do see overall, we're moving in the right direction. If you're caught up in the day-to-day or the week-to-week energy, you can't see that we're moving in the right direction. So you really have to kind of take the long view and allow yourself to kind of see this as a bigger picture, okay? Because if you just get caught up in the day-to-day energy, it's maddening, and it's very frustrating. Okay, so the last question for today's part 2 is from Dr. Keith Martin, and he wants to know about the energetic tipping point. The old energy is holding on and fighting for dear life, he says. It's clear the end is near because their actions are desperate, bizarre, and not logical. Case in point, Tennessee. The concept of a tipping point is a critical point in a situation, process, or system beyond which a significant and often unstoppable effect or change takes place. To date, we've seen drip, drip, drip. He just wants to know, when will the tipping point have been reached? What situation, process, system, or person or people can we watch for a sign the unstoppable tipping point has or is occurring? And will we know this collective fever has broken? Okay, this is probably the $1 million question, right? I mean, honestly, don't we all want to know when things are going to go back to normal, quote unquote, or when are we going to see justice? Well, the problem here is, what is justice? You know, is 45 being in jail justice, right? What about all the other people that crimed along with him? So this is perhaps part of the problem here. It's like you're saying it's drip, drip, drip. Well, it is drip, drip, drip. This is a great, big, huge problem. And there's so many tentacles on this octopus. It's not just, one. We've got to get it all. We've got to get as much of it as we can. So I would say the energy is picking up. We're seeing that. We can see that. We can see that in what's happening in the news on the daily. We know that the energy is picking up. We know the light is shining. We know that there seems to be some comeuppance happening for these people. I feel like, for me, when I look at your question, here's what it is for me personally. I feel like this fall, we're going to see big happenings. We're going to see indictments of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, more like 4 to 6 people that you would know their names. And some of them are Congress people. Some of them are other people that, are around them. And we've already seen an indictment of 45, but by then we will see more indictments. So that's kind of the first big step that I need personally, because I have a lot invested in the timeline that they've shown me. So once that happens, I feel like we've put them on notice, right? These criming politicians are on notice. Now, what I need to see next is that these criming politicians are thrown out or removed or leave Congress. That's the second thing I need to see. Once I see that, once I see at least 3 of those Congress people leave. Now, of course, you guys, we can point to 6. We can easily find 5, 6 people that need to leave. Yes, I want that, but I'm going to accept 3 or 4 or 5. Once those people step down, either by, force or by their own desire to save face, I don't care at this point. And then we hold elections to replace those people. That is step 2. Now, step 3 is when that's when the energy, to me, that's kind of the tipping point, is that part. It's not when Trump goes to jail, because he's really not the whole thing. I really need more than that. So you can put Trump in jail tomorrow, but we still got MTG. We still got all these people. We got McCarthy. We got Lynn running around. We've got all these people that are really causing problems, and Jim Jordan, and we've got to do something about them. They are really a threat to our democracy. So once we take a subset of those people, whether it's MTG, Boebert, Gates, and we indict them, or whether it's Jim Jordan, including with those people, or whether it's all those people with, some other people like Meadows or Eastman or whoever, okay, then I'm going to be feeling pretty good. That to me is the beginning of the table flipping, or the critical, as you say, the energetic tipping point. So then the next thing that I need to see, and the next tipping point, actually involves other countries. Ukraine would also have to be involved in this. They would have to tip into a complete democracy. They'd have to get their own independence back, because this is all linked for some reason. So Ukraine would have to get its independence back. We would have to hold these people accountable in our country. And then we would have to literally, remove them from Congress. After that, I'm going to let justice do its thing. We replace them in Congress. Then what I see is that, again, the bipartisanship, because the rest of those people that didn't get actively investigated are really on pins and needles, because they could be actively investigated. And I feel that those powers that be say, we're not done investigating. This is our first round of investigations. And these are the people that we've targeted, the people I said already. But all those other people, let's say Jim Jordan doesn't make the first cut, the first round. Well, do you think he's going to be sleeping well at night? Do you think he's going to be worried about his own, culpability or innocence or criminality or whatever it is? I think so. So you're going to have that kind of chilling effect that's going to happen throughout Congress. Seriously. I mean, I'm not kidding. I've said this before, but this is what it is for me. This is how I will know that everything the spirit guides have been saying is working out the way we all thought it would. Now, all these people have free will, and they can sort of, if you throw a ball and it hits a branch, it's going to change the trajectory of the ball, right? So we're throwing the ball. We think the trajectory is correct, but if something happens, it could slightly alter the trajectory of that outcome. But for me, that's how I know the tipping point's going to be, because once all those Congress people are terrified and they're going to act right, they're going to be bipartisan. They're going to, all of a sudden, more than anything in the world, they're going to want to hold the other Congress people's hands, be they whatever, even trans or African American or female or Democrat. They're going to happily hold their hand and they're going to sing Kumbaya. And that is what's going to get us out of our problem, because once we have a functioning Congress and a functioning Senate, we can then also address our functioning judicial system. We can address SCOTUS. We can bring SCOTUS before Congress. We can impeach SCOTUSes. We can write new laws that protect people throughout the states. We can bring back a woman's choice. That's how we get through this. This is how we literally get through this. This is what the guides have been preaching to me. It's what I've been preaching to you guys. As each one of these things starts becoming reality, I'm going to feel a lot better. When I see these things, I watch the timeline, which means I watch reality, and I see, okay, this happened. So that gives me hope that this is going to happen. And then this happens, and that gives me hope that this is going to happen, right? So the fact that where I see a lot of hope, right? I see the Justins in Tennessee and how they turned seemingly overnight, turned the entire Tennessee State House on its end, on its head. This is the kind of energy we're in right now, right? So I do see hope in many places that this, even if it is drip, 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 think of it as check, check, check. Don't think of it as excruciating. This has taken too long. Think of it as check mark. That worked. Check mark. That checks out, right? Think of it as steps on the way to where we need to get to, because that's how I see us getting there. And then, of course, I see a Democratic ticket. I see Biden, winning. I see Kamala being in the office. I see us getting down to business. And then, it's not going to be easy. Holding all these people to account may not be easy. We may have pushback, but what we will have is consensus, because those people in Congress, those people in Senate will be terrified, and they will do what they need to do to join up and save their own backsides. So that's what makes that's what it is for me. That's the tipping point. That's how we get there. And maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But for me, that's what I'm watching for. So thank you so much for watching to the end of part 2. I really appreciate all of your support. I really do. Leave me your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what psychic hits you're getting. Let me know what you want me to talk about in the future. Maybe you have a suggestion. I would appreciate that. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate that as well. Take really, really good care of yourself. We are really, I'm happy. I'm truly happy with where we are. I really feel like we're heading in the right direction. The drip, drip, drip doesn't bother me because, frankly, for 6 years, we had nothing, not even a drip. We didn't even have a drip. So a drip to me is progress. Guess it's all in how you look at it, right? All right. You guys take really good care. I'll talk to you soon. For entertainment purposes only.